Welcome again to Wickerson Studios. My name is Michael Wickerson. I am the last Canadian man in America. All right, here we go. We are going to go back to the simple maths and find beauty within what I just can't avoid, which is the import math library. And I am a sucker for sine and cosine. I just can't help but think of my bike wheel spinning as a kid with cards on it, and the sound of that card clicking away, but also the position of that card as I ride down the road. Had an uncanny ability of being able to see myself at different times, especially when I was driving a bread truck on schedule in Toronto, Ontario for Ace Bakery for about 2 years. Could always see myself getting off schedule and see myself farther down the path. Somehow that connects visually or creatively to sine and cosine in my mind. But let's take a look at this simple script without me rambling on like a fool. I have brought in, like I said, there's no parameters in this. It's all tucked in within the random function. We've imported random, and I'm going to be exploring that for the next 3 or 4 scripts. That way I have no yellow parameters in the Grasshopper window, and I'm starting to import my points beyond the random, and what I learned before I'm going to try and include in these very simple scripts. So although we started out with just taking a look at random, random, randint, and random uniform, I set those at very small, and what I'm able to do is just run the Python script. Uh, it generates points that I interpolate, and if this point system generates this curve, it's kind of small, but there it is. And then I just had to build a vector, which I wish there was a quicker way, and there probably is. It's just a line. I just need a unit vector. Probably a z unit vector will be fine as an axis, as a line to rotate it around. I'm allowed with a rotation. But in producing this curve, I could run this script and end up with different beautiful curves each and every time I run it because I put it through a 3-point random function. And I just played around in here. Try and consider this is the X point of the 3D point imported into RG.3D. But I did a little bit of math of wild 3, which is a random uniform point between 0 and 8. I added that to stagger it off in the x-axis. As long as it doesn't come up very small, I'm able to stagger it off and multiply it by sine x divided by wild 1. So wild 1 is an interesting, just random integer that you're going to get. You can change these to wild 1, 2, 3, and that's why I call them wilds, because we're generating wild points and we're creating wild point outputs. Have a little fun with it. Use your language to be creative, be a little bit mathematically nerdy, poetic, and have some fun. This is the y value, which is going to go through a cos, which will turn it into more of a helix form. So actually, if we look down on it, it's not actually that necessary that it comes out this way for the revolve. It does affect it. What might be cool if I did a little rotation on this to twist it so it would affect the shape of that curve. But basically, it's a curve that's rotating around a center axis. And then I just left the last one as x. X, of course, being in all of this, x moving between the range of, and I put in wild time wild 3, and I made it an integer. If I don't make it an integer, it won't come out. It'll come out as a float, and range function won't read it. But that script is pretty basically the intro script that you would see in most guidelines for Python to learn about the random function and some of its methods. But I just choose to play with it a little bit. And yes, I can go in and try other things in maths. But if you keep things simple, you can find out how infinite it actually is. It's like a child always likes to ride a tricycle around in circles while they pedal their feet in circles on another axis. And they're the only ones that actually know how to ride a tricycle. Every adult tries to drive it straight and go somewhere, but that's not the purpose of that. So a sense of going in circles with these scripts is what makes it beautiful. Getting disoriented with it makes it beautiful. Have some fun with it. And sorry I'm rambling on so much, but it's such a simple script to just hit play and generate these different forms and plates that are quite complex, and I'll just click through of them. And of course, it busts sometimes as an interpolated point because it lacks enough points. Actually, next time it busts, I'm going to read. Of course, it won't bust now. Let's just read what the warning says. Insufficient points for the curve, so I'm sure it's just outputting 1 point. I'm not sure, but that's what I assume because I've run into that before. But this is a good example of using Python to drive geometry. Now, if I could hook this up to some type of machine learning, or data structure or the wind or my finances or anything that's relative as data, importing, say, Excel documents that are being generated, you've got a meaningful piece of 3D geometry that is a data visualization to something that's important to you in your life. Because what is art all about? It's for a lot of times, this mass customization has to deal with making people feel like they have a part in the things that are in their life and not alienate themselves from it. But I think people are actually more in tune with getting convenience as the most important things in their lives. So, anyway, rambling on a Sunday morning. This will be my church today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. The script, I have to wonder why I would even send these 10 GH scripts to M. Wickerson on GitHub, but I will once I hit 10. We're at 6 now. We'll go through a few random functions, and I hope you enjoy it. Actually, I like some of these forms, and all I did was throw a little brep on the end of it. But that's the whole point, is trying to get this stuff down to the absolute minimum. 5 minutes of fun with random library, and we're going to go in and jump into what am I going to do? Oh, basically the next one's about bringing in a point and making it uniform, random uniform or whatever. And actually, what I did notice was they bring in random as R, which just means that I can take all of this beautiful stuff here. And so as it is about research and development. You research, you get to a certain page. If you're doing it linearly, start cover, top cover to back cover. Does that work? Yes, it does still. All I did was just reduce the amount of type that I had to put in. But then again, it doesn't become as readable, and then you end up typing in a hashtag and saying R is short, and this is kind of redundant for because it's right above for random, and that's of course what's happening up there. And import random as R. But if you're making your script unreadable and you're adding comments to make it readable, why don't you make your script readable? Probably because things get pretty vague and pretty monstrous all of a sudden. Anyway, having fun with Python, Grasshopper, Rhino development. Thanks very much for watching.